Yes, and we're back here on Leading Our Runway Part 3 with Katerina, and she takes us through today her remarkable journey from Russia to New York to Mexico, sharing how she learned to trust her intuition over logic. She left behind a successful career on Wall Street in New York City, and she discovered a new way of living, one that prioritizes, sorry, my apologies. I'm not going to edit it. It's all about being human and getting it wrong. Prioritizes energy, looks at purpose and human connection. We're going to explore the major cultural shifts she experienced and how embracing uncertainty led to her clarity. It's a powerful episode. We will be looking later in the week around how mirror work and sound healing and the power of healing really unlocked deep self-awareness and an emotional freedom for her. And it's quite insightful. So tune in for part 3, and we're here all week with Katerina. But somehow I go and win the National Teacher of the Year award in the second year. I definitely know I was not the best teacher. However, I think I was put into that competition from a parent that I had no idea that she'd done that. It was very kind of her, because I just had maybe the ability just to connect with the parents, the community, the children in a positive, light-hearted way, and I was willing to learn and take pieces for everybody. But because I won that award, I was cut down. So people, is it them? Was it? I reflect sometimes, going, was it me being desperate? Was it me trying to connect too much? Or was I just doing so well and so good at it, people didn't like it and wanted to cut me down, and I reflect, well, they need to do some work then, right? But it killed me almost in the process.
When you share your story, it makes me so sad.
Oh, why?
It
I don't
makes me
see the
so
sadness
sad
anymore.
every time, because I can only imagine what it's like to go through this as an adult, when there's no mommy and daddy coming in and straightening everybody out.
Yeah.
When you have to figure out, and it's your work and it's your financial situation, right? And you're trying to be your best, which is why I always say, there are no adults, almost no adults, unfortunately. It's kids in bigger bodies.
Yeah.
And because most people don't learn how to self-regulate, most people don't come out of that traumatized state they grew up in and didn't learn, right? And I think in this situation that you're describing, there are a couple different things. Maybe you did try hard to connect with them, but maybe they also were triggered by you being successful. And that's why it's very hard to stand out of the crowd, which is why, again, there's not that much authenticity out there, because authenticity takes courage, and you'll be beaten up. But I also look at it as a test from the universe. You didn't expect the red carpet just going to be rolled out for you and everything been easy here, right? You'll be bored.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So this is a test.
Australia if that was the case.
And there you go. So it is a thing that we have this idea of something. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, well, how did you expect it to be? It's a challenge. You got to overcome it. You're going to be better from it, and you're going to get triggered, and something will open in you. And as a result, look, you learn to self-regulate. You learn to be at peace. You learn self-worth, right? So many things you've learned based on that hardship. And so there are many things that go into this. And yes, courage, it takes courage to be authentic. It takes courage to shine. But you shine because you're light. You don't shine because you need to blind someone. You shine because the light is inside of each of us. And we do have to connect with it. And the reason depression and anxieties and all these things happen is because we are dimming our light. We're suppressing this energy. We don't allow it to flow. Depression is it because you're not going for your dreams. You're not living to the extent that you should. And your body is going into the state of, I don't like this. Go for it. But then fear is stopping you. The beliefs are stopping you. Other people are stopping you, right? And it takes a lot to lift your head up. And that's why just one person who is your cheerleader can make a whole difference. Just find one person for you and be that for them too. Right? Yeah. And that's it. That's how we lift each other up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I completely agree. So with your journey, then people can hear a Russian accent. They've heard. They've
Can
heard
they?
the. I think so. I mean, I knew.
Okay.
And they've heard you say Wall Street at the beginning of the episode, and they heard me say Mexico at the beginning of the episode. I think this is the time really of the
It's
episode
all
we meet.
about symbols. It's all about
Yeah.
symbols. It's
Hey,
all
there you go.
about connecting dots and using the power of attention, you know,
There you
to
go.
connect the dots.
Well, let's do it.
I,
Can you help
I,
us?
I can help a little bit. I like the mystery because I think life is about mystery and about uncovering these things and
Hmm.
making it interesting, right? So I was born in Russia, and I spent half of my life in New York, where I worked on Wall Street, and that wasn't my plan. It just happened, and it was an interesting journey for sure. I'm very grateful for it because life in Manhattan and life on Wall Street is nothing that I've ever dreamed of, but it happened, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing. So there's a lot of things obviously happened throughout life, lots of learnings. At some point, I decided that I have to explore another country, and
Hmm.
that's when I quit my job and I moved to Mexico, where I'm at now, and that's been fascinating as well,
Yeah.
because Mexico has never been on the radar, and all
Yeah.
of a
Well.
sudden it's my home, and I love it here, and it's observation of the mindset shift, of the lifestyle shift, of different cultures, learning, absorbing all of that, meeting different types of people, and um, I think it's a gift to be able to move countries and make them home,
Yeah.
as a part of the human journey, just as an experiment, just as what else is out there in life and the world. And so, yeah, it's been a fascinating journey so far.
Mm. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from England. I've spent a lot of time in the United States. I've spent significant long period of chunks in the United States too, especially when I was traveling. I was there for months and stayed at families, friends' houses, and all of that. Slept on the couches, and I understand the culture. And I'm sure it's different in every other state, and in Australia as well. I feel like Australia is America and England having a baby together. That's kind of how I look at
Okay,
Australia.
okay.
Yeah.
Good to
Um,
know.
there's elements of both put in, and we give birth to us as Australian.
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
with you, then you've obviously seen Russia. Well, in my mind, and again, this is maybe the news as my perception is completely different to the United States. But then Mexico would be completely different. Why and what are the difference between the three for you, and why go from Russia to New York? Because I love New York. Before having kids, it was the place I'd been to like 25 times. I love New York. I know it like the back of my hand. I used to stay on 12th Street between 5th and 6th, right in Greenwich,
That's
Soho.
very good. That's a very posh.
Yeah, well, my
Excuse
friends are
me,
very.
sir.
My friend who I stayed with is 87 now. I was just texting him the other day. I met him at a bus stop in 2000 with my mum. I was there with my mum on a trip. I'd won a trip, and met him on Battery Park, in Battery Park City, or whatever you call it. And
Sure.
yeah, and he was amazing. Still a friend to this day, and helps me out a lot. And 87 years old, very old traditional New Yorker, but he was a famous opera singer, and then he became quite a well-known book cover designer. He was actually going to book cover my book, but we decided not to. He doesn't like my bully journey. He hates it, so he's not
Yeah,
interested in that part. Very traditional
yeah,
black and white. But
yeah.
yeah, so I love Greenwich Village. Absolutely love it. His neighbours were people like politicians, and he'd have a cigar with Tom Cruise at night because he would come out with a hat on.
Mm.
It was just the type of area that it was a very old apartment. No one could. He was a very wealthy guy, but he'd lived there since the 60s, and through rent control, he couldn't. The
That's
landlord
right.
couldn't move him out, so he was
That's
paying
right.
rent that he was doing 30 years ago. But
That's
that
right.
the landlord could get quadruple, if not more, like $6,000 a month, and he was paying something like $800 a month.
See, like these
Ridiculous.
are the mystical things I'm talking about in life. There's like pockets and places and people that make our life so interesting because you'd never think, people outside New York never think this is a thing, but I think many people live like that in New York. And very interesting people and they live great lives.
Oh yeah,
You meet them and they
I love
enhance
them.
your life, right? So
Mm,
yeah, this is a magic of life. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So I kind of went off on a tangent then, but back to my
Yeah.
question, where you from Russia to New York and New York to Mexico, what are the differences and why the moves from each, if that's okay?
It's the why is a very logical question.
Hmm.
And the way I live my life now, it's not really logical because illogical ways is a way of the heart and is the way of, let's say, spirit and energy.
Mm.
And this is really a way that's guiding us into where we're supposed to be in this journey here now. What we do as humans, we turn our logical brain and we think we know everything. We try to calculate things. And that's when we get confused
Yeah.
because we follow something that we're told or taught or just some logical formula where life is illogical.
Mm.
We live in a chaotic universe. It's all floating in the air and it's bumping into each other. There's synchronicities constantly happening. There are constantly signs and symbols. And if we turn off the logic, then we end up in places that we never plan or expect. And we feel the best. The
Mm.
best. Nobody around us understands why, and they try to ask why. So I can't explain to you why
Mm.
I moved there. Now I can say that it was the energy pool that literally took me from one place and brought me to another through this very, very strong, strong pull that I couldn't say no. I had to go. Like it wasn't even a question for me. It
Yeah.
made no sense, but maybe it was justified in some logical way just for human mind to process it. And then the same thing happened with Mexico. I arrived here, I spent some time here, and I realized that I feel really good here. And so for me, well, what else do you want?
Mm.
You want to feel good and you want to feel like, okay, I am flowing, everything is aligning for me. So why not? Where else would I be? Where else would I go in force because there are top 10 countries that everybody needs to visit, or there are top 10 cities, right? Or these are the best cities for real estate or something else. This is all noise.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up in Mexico, same in New York. And what I look at right now, these were the switches and let's say in energy that I was going through in my journey, and we can relate that to human design. We can relate it to the astrology as well, which all makes sense when you look at it, when
Mm.
the switches of planets happen or some kind of like shifts. So it makes sense. When
Right.
we and what happens with people very often, they resist these changes. They
Yeah.
resist them. They want it. They resist it. Your astrology chart tells you you have to be somewhere else, but you're like, no, 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 but my paycheck. And as a result, we start accumulating these illnesses, body illnesses, or let's say emotional illnesses. And that's because the body's trying to correct us. It's trying to tell us this is the wrong place for you. It's enough here, go somewhere else. Go explore, go live, go expand, right? And our fears or our logical mind says, no, 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 I'm here
Mm.
forever. So so I try to kind of like put my logical mind aside and be like, okay, where do I feel I should be?
Yeah. I wished I'd done that before having kids, let me tell you.
Why?
I don't know. I feel that noise and that logical
Mm,
thinking. I would like to step away from teaching full time, but I can't because I have to pay for the house, right?
that's
I have to
right.
put food on the table and things like
That's
that.
right.
Um, I'm already human designed that way because I have children. It has to
That's
be
right.
done, and look after the family. And I would love to be doing the podcast full time, which is full time to me.
And
Of
I
course, it
love
is.
I love that you do that. And I would suggest for you, if I may,
Mm.
to keep saying this as part
Oh,
of the
mm,
podcast because this is how you bring it into reality. There
Look,
you go. Beautiful.
I've already got my
Beautiful.
vision
Beautiful.
boards. I've already got it.
Beautiful. So I would say that, and then on the topic of the kids and let's say marriage, because this is a social conditioning that we still have and we're still
Yeah.
going through, and it makes a lot of people unhappy that I don't have a kid, I don't have this, but we never get to question why do you
Mm,
need this?
yeah.
What is this idea? What is this thing that you're making yourself unhappy with, where in reality it could possibly limit you?
Yeah.
Because honestly, there are enough kids in this world that need love and care and attention. You can very much go and give them that. Um, we don't have to be constantly married for us to be happy.
For sure.
Um, so these are the questions that we can also ponder on because they make a lot of people unhappy.
Mm,
These are, instead of just like putting them aside and going to your life, go dancing.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I had a question, and
Yes.
I was No, I was so tuned into your answer, I forgot what it was.
Hmm. Thank you for being present.
Well, yeah, that's it, and that's something I've definitely worked on. I was massively brain fogged when I had children. I've been brutally honest. My son didn't fix me. Having a new car and a new house and it didn't fix me. I got my dream job. It didn't fix me until I went through the crisis of almost dying, I suppose, 20 minutes away from being in a coma. And
Mm.
that crisis created that change for me to be more present with the family and so on. Um, I think I know what it was. Going from Katrina Wall Street, does that look different to Katrina Mexico? Because that's when we see Wall Street, we have the movies in our mind. We imagine you being hustle and bustle, on demands, being told what to do. You're in a chase, it's money, all of that, right? I mean, that could be completely wrong, but was Wall Street Katrina? Well, I'm guessing it definitely was, but yeah, was there a massive difference between the two?
So first of all, Wall Street can look different.
Yeah,
Wall
sure.
Street is not always a trading floor. And trading
And
floor
that's
is
why I
most of,
suppose I'm asking.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So a lot of it is very orderly. Nobody's screaming.
yeah.
It's
Sorry
an
for
office
my
job.
perception there.
It really is like, yes, the movies, the perception that you have is from before,
Yeah,
where you had to scream on a trading floor. Now nobody's even on a trading floor because everything is done on the computers. It's empty.
yeah,
So so nobody's screaming. I mean, people are screaming if they're unhealthy, obviously, and they're,
yeah, for sure.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
they need to do this thing to other humans, but very civilized technically. So it's an office job. Yes, there is a lot of money involved. Yes, there is different levels of activities. Yes, you get to see a lot of things, and it's fascinating. It
yeah,
really is fascinating. I'm very grateful to be able to be part of that life. Yes, I am very different from back then. I think
yeah.
my friends, they look at me, they're like, "What happened? Who are you?" Um, because I've gone through some serious questioning of who I am.
Yeah,
And that's when this whole journey started, because I started asking, who am I and what am I doing here in this reality? Because working in the office didn't make too much sense to me, to come
yeah,
here into this body. And so yes, it's a very different personality. Obviously, there are still some things that are still there, but I think what happened since then, it was almost this blooming or opening. If you look at the flower that opens, right? And it's been, and that's what I think lots of humans are. We're closed off because we're in such a protective mode, fearful, protective, self-protective mode. And we're keeping it all inside. We don't even know what's inside. And whatever is on the surface is whatever we learned to show, learned the skill. And that's how we show up at the party, that's how we show up at the relationship, that's how we show up at work, right? And then once you're given a chance to open, you discover that, oh, you can actually be creative.
mm,
You can actually learn another language. or you
Wrecks
can
any singular parts
travel.
of the brain.
Exactly, or you can travel solo. And as a woman, it doesn't mean you don't have friends. It doesn't mean that nobody wants to marry you. It doesn't mean that you're lonely. It just means you wanted to travel,
Mm.
and so be it. So there are a lot of things happen when we step outside of the square. I call it the square, this box that we're put in, and pretending that that's all there is to life. The life is actually outside of the box. So yes, lots of things have changed. I've never made art before, and now I call myself an artist, and I've seen it many times as I guide humans that the creative part wakes up. The minute
Mm.
you start healing yourself, the minute you start being more courageous, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to write, I'm going to paint, I'm going to create this new dish. And humans are so surprised often when they say this to me, because we do the integration process after, because they share with me what they've seen, what they felt, and they're so surprised, and I'm like, go do that. That's good. So that's normal, and that's what I see a human journey. We are supposed to be creators. We are supposed to do these beautiful things in this reality, which is why I think AI is a wonderful thing, because AI can take all of these mundane tasks off our plate, as booking a flight, as responding to some very simple email, or doing research for paper that took you half a year before, right? Where
Yeah.
I can use this time to paint,
Yeah.
and then it's beautiful, right? So
Absolutely.
so yeah, that's how I see it, and that the change is huge. Yes, the change is huge that happened since
Yeah.
then.
I'm glad you brought up the art because I do have a bunch of photos that I'd like to share with you. This is not so much your art,
Let me
but
see.
talk to us about what you're doing here. Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.